feedback from the community. And so that's what y'all are all here for, and we appreciate you again very, very much for that. Few housekeeping items that I wanted to go over with everyone. I want you to know that all relevant material and information will be available electronically on our website. So you're going to get to see all of this again. If you lose your handout, you're going to get to go to the website, find Budget Committee, and you'll have access to this handout and all the notes from tonight and all the FAQs. Any questions that you ask, any questions that end up on the parking lot will be there. Due to time constraints, we did not work breaks in. So the bathrooms are through those red doors. Use the bathroom as you need. Water's over here and a few little snacks. The UCISD leadership team, they are scattered at your tables. Ask them questions as you need. They're here to serve you anything that you need. They can answer questions or point you in the right direction to the bathroom. Your attendance at every meeting will very much help yield optimal results as we go through this process with the community and our committee. And so we hope that you will be here at every meeting. Our agenda tonight, we're going to have a welcome address from President Lambert. Then we're going to do a little icebreaker activity. We'll talk through the process that we're going to follow over the next month and a half. And then we're going to talk about our community budget committee overview. Then we'll talk about the state of the district, which is pretty long. So I hope that you brought a pillow to sit on. And then we'll have our closing. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Master Chief President Lambert for his welcome.
Thank you. I had to write notes, so I'd make sure I didn't get off track, and then we end up being here longer than we're supposed to be. One of the key responsibilities of a school board is the ongoing activity of adopting an annual budget. The superintendent and her staff crunch the numbers for the school district budget, and they present it to the board for approval. As is the case with many school districts across the state, we are operating in a deficit budget. Under these circumstances, and in the interest of continuing to improve our transparency, we decided we wanted to empower the community to be involved in this budget process. You were all intentionally invited to be a part of this process because of your backgrounds, your experience, and your desire to represent your community in this process. You are all from various walks of life across this community, and your recommendations in how we spend your money in the best interest of our students is valuable. Superintendent Colas has already executed many initiatives toward this process, but we are asking that our community provide recommendations for the board to consider in adopting a budget. Adopting a budget for a school district is not an easy job. And in our case, I feel like that 64 heads, which is the total of this room, is better than 7. On behalf of the school board, I want to thank each of you for accepting this invitation and your willingness to give your time for this great opportunity to have a voice. We look forward to hearing and considering your recommendations. You are appreciated. And again, thank you.
Thank you, President Lambert. So I put myself up there because I will forget every single time to take the time to introduce myself for those who don't know me or who I've never met before. My name is Ashley Colas, and I am the very proud superintendent of Uvalde CISD. I have been here for 1 year, 1 month, and 2 weeks now. So, and I'm super excited about it. Love it, and love the job, love the work. It's been awesome. Okay, we have our icebreaker activity, and I'm super excited about it. So in your groups, in your table groups, what you are going to do, you are going to, with your team, you're going to find 3 things that all of you have in common, right? You have about 5 minutes to do this. You're going to find 3 things that you all have in common at your table group. Then you are going to give your table group a name. You'll have to come up with a name. All right, so what are 3 things that you have in common, and what will your group name be? So, a couple of just ground rules. Whenever we speak, it's going to be one person at a time. We're going to respect the person who's speaking, listen with a desire to contribute and learn, and engage in the learning the entire meeting. I know I don't have to say that, but just in case, as we talk about this in our superintendent groups, they say, just go through it with the group. Okay, I did. Question and answer process. Each table, whenever we're done, y'all are going to get the opportunity to talk in your group about the information that was presented. And then as we're going along, if you'll use the stickies and the pens to write down any questions that you have, y'all are going to get to talk about it and come up with one question to ask as a team. Any other questions that you have that were not asked by the group, I'm going to ask you to put over on the parking lot that's over on the yellow bulletin board. There's a parking lot. I will either answer you directly via email, if you put your name and email on the sticky, or it will be, and likely it will be both if you give me your name. What I'll do is I will put it in our frequently asked questions, because on the website, there's already a list of frequently asked questions that we're keeping running so that people can go to it and see if they have the same questions or if their question is there and get an answer. So that's what we will do with any questions that you had that were unanswered. And if you want specifically an email response from me, then please put your email down and say, please respond to me personally or call me, and I will do that. So in your packet, you'll see a little chart that's about group decision making. And this scale makes it a lot easier for participants to be honest and to have kind words to use whenever they disagree, maybe, or whenever they do agree. So if you'll just review those so that it's easy for you to have maybe take a difficult position in your group whenever maybe the group has a different opinion than you do. Okay. I don't anticipate that tonight will get too tough, but by about meeting 3, we might have to have some difference of opinion and it might get difficult. So we want everybody to have that. And we talked about making some cards and just having them on the tables for you. Gradients of agreement. Oh, I don't know what happened, but you have the right one in front of you that I hope did not do that. So whenever a new topic comes up, we've been rocking along doing what we do, and we have to maybe do something different because there's a new topic and we have to address it, or a new thought. And so we hit this divergent zone where maybe there's not an agreement, and then we have to start working on the problem for a solution. And we hit the groan zone, right, where there's disagreement. We have to use those good words on the page before. And that might take a little while of back and forth and discussion. Then we get to the convergent zone, and then we get to a decision point, and that is the diamond of participatory decision-making. And of course, that's what we're driving toward, is group decision-making and participatory decision-making. And we appreciate, again, all of you being willing to engage in this process. Again, for our community budget committee, the board adopted a resolution around this and a charter, basically. And what this committee equips us to be able to do is to speak with one voice, to proceed in the same direction, to support all students, right, in all areas of their education, and to identify areas of cost reduction. And what we're driving toward is the community budget committee end result is to help us prioritize cost reductions. Whether or not you saw the community budget charter, whenever they adopted it, you can go back to December and see that on the meeting. The December meeting is posted on our website. And you can look at the charter if you want to see the whole thing. I did not print one for you, but the highlights are here. for you to look at. I'm not going to read them to you. I've pretty much talked about it. And then I've also talked about the outcomes. We want a well-informed and engaged school community. That's y'all. And we want to have recommended priorities that optimize resources. And that's what y'all are here to help us do, as I've said multiple times. So we're at our January meeting. This is our timeline overview. You'll also be able to see this online. We're at this January midpoint, and we're going to have some meetings. There are 5 meetings planned. We're going to try to get it done in 4 because I value your time. And if we can do that, then in March, at the March 10th board meeting, just prior to the board meeting, we'll have a board workshop where the elected individuals will present our findings to the board, our recommendations to the board. Everyone's invited to come and see them do that and help assist, right? And then March through August, whatever portions of it they accept, the school district administration will start to enact those preparations for next year's budget. Okay. Meeting 2 is State of the State. So on January 22nd, our partners Moat Casey will be here to give you an overview of what's going on in the state, what we expect out of the legislature, what we're seeing out of the legislature as far as school funding goes. And all board members will attend that, so it will be posted as a workshop, a board workshop about legislative update. So if you see a board meeting posted and you're like, I don't think I'm supposed, it's a board workshop, that's y'all. Y'all are invited to that. It's this meeting on January 22nd. Meeting 3, that's the district financials. That's January 30th. That will really be the meat and potatoes of looking at the budget, looking at expenditures, looking at a whole lot of data across the district, and looking at where we see possible expenditures that may be able to be reduced and options. And that's whenever, at the very end of all that, we'll answer all of your questions as best we can. And at the end of that meeting, you'll get some scoring sheets to score in 3 ways each one of the proposed cuts. And then what we'll do is whenever we come back on February 10th, we will have tiered those cuts into Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 based on how they were rated by you all. And then we'll have some group discussions. So you'll talk about how the tiers worked out at your table. Then I'm going to make it to where everybody goes to a different table from your group and talks to that group. And then you'll come back to your group and talk. And if there are any adjustments that the group wants to make to the tiers, we can talk about that then. Then y'all will sort of finalize your recommendations. And then the group will decide who is going to be the lucky presenters to the board on March 10th, March 10th. Please save the date, February 24th, in case we need to meet that night. But we're going to try to not have to meet February 24th, but save that date. And again, that March 10th, we're going to have a workshop prior to the board meeting where representatives from this group will present to the board members and explain the process that you were led through, how it went, and your tiered recommendations, and give them feedback on how everything went. Now I'm going to jump into the state of UCISD. And we'll run through this pretty quick, and then you're going to get some time to talk about all of this in your group and come up with questions. Again, make sure you grab your stickies because I want to give you as much time as possible at the end to write down, to talk, and to figure out a question that you want to ask. So UCISD supports about 4,016 students and about 759 employees, about 282 teachers. Of that, about 230 are certified and 52 are uncertified. We have about 317 instructional and clerical paras and auxiliary staff and approximately 80 administrators. We got 7 campuses with a total of 11 facilities. Dalton campus. Ms. Tarsky Rodriguez, would you please stand up? And anyone else who's off the Dalton campus, will you please stand up? This is our principal from Dalton and two of our lovely teachers from Dalton. So they're here representing Dalton. Thank you, ladies. They chase after 837 pre-K to second grade students. God bless them all. Everybody, please remember them in your prayers tonight. 837 pre-K to second grade at Dalton. At Uvalde Elementary at Flores, we've got third through fifth grade. There are 592 students. If you are from Uvalde Elementary at Flores, will you please stand up? Ms. Torres, their principal, and we've got our lead nurse and nurse there and teacher. Thank you so much for being here. We've got Uvalde Dual Language Academy, UDLA, we have got pre-K through 6 students there, and we've got 549 students there. Ms. Ayala, will you please stand up? And any of your teachers or anyone who works at UDLA, we all stand up. Thank you. Thank y'all for being here. Batesville School, pre-K through 8, we've got 89 kiddos there. And there is their fearless principal and leader, Ms. Gonzalez. Who else were the teachers from Batesville, representatives from Batesville, Paris? Yay, everybody from Batesville. And they have a parent from Batesville over there. All right. Thank y'all so much for being here. Morales Junior High, we've got representation. They are 6 through 8, 717 middle schoolers, y'all. I did 9 years in the middle school. That's hard time. So thank you to our middle school. If you're representing the middle school, will you please stand up and be recognized? Miss Alanis, their assistant principals, and 2 teachers. Thank y'all for being here. Crossroads, we've got 6 through 12 plus, and I believe they've got daycare here and some pre-K kiddos, about 95 of them. So Dr. Lopez is their principal, and any teachers, representation from Crossroads, thank y'all for being here. Uvalde High School, we've got 9th through 12th grade there. We've got 1,137 kiddos. If you're from Uvalde High School, will you please stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Yay. We've got CTE Ag represented, and we've got Fine Arts represented, and Math represented, and we have got their principal, and who else is here representing? Miss Mireles, thank you very much for being here. So, and then we've got our central office complex where we've got the business office, the maintenance, transportation, and child nutrition represented here tonight. We've got our central office annex, which is our C&I department. They are scattered at every single table. And so if you are central office complex people, stand up, please. All right. Got that. All right. There we go. Central office. If you are central office annex C&I people, will you please stand up? All right. We've got central office C&I. Awesome. If you are West Garden special ed representative, or if you're a special ed teacher, stand up again. If you were special ed or a special ed teacher, awesome. And then the Honey Bowl Stadium. Everybody should stand up for the Honey Bowl. All right, so those are all of our facilities. If you are a parent in UCISD, will you please stand up? I'm already standing. Awesome. We got parents. If you are a community leader and don't have kids in the district, will you please stand up and be recognized? Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for being here tonight. Who else? I said, all community members, stand up if you didn't stand up. I meant all community leaders, but if you are from the community, stand up if you're a community member. We've got community members and district partners. That should be everybody. We're all. So thank you all. And then I've got 3 board members here. If you're a board member, stand up. Got 3 board members, 3 trustees, these guys. So I wanted everybody to be able to see that we're well represented across the district and the community for, the district. We have our police officer. Y'all are You know where you are. Did you stand up? I don't know if he stood up. All right. Yes, we've got a police officer. All right. So, historical enrollment and average daily attendance. Our enrollment has decreased. Okay, and it really started to decrease after the pandemic and then after the tragedy, and attendance really started to go down as it has across the state and nation after the pandemic. And then again after the tragedy. We are doing everything that we can through our partnerships, Motivate Our Students Texas, and lots of other things that we feel like we can do to get our kids here. We know we have to do more, and we are going to be working on that more. But this is our average daily attendance and our historical enrollment so that you've got that on a slide in front of you. I gave y'all our board goals, and the board has written goals in 4 domains. The first one is high quality curriculum and effective instruction. And the 2 measurable goals here are that student achievement will improve by at least 3% in tested subject areas in the meets category by July of 2025. That's this year, y'all. And that our CCMR data will improve by 20% by September of 2027. That's a little bit of a longer term goal because it takes a little bit of time to affect change in CCMR, but we really want to establish a strong CCMR program and start to see the fruits of our labor. And that data is about 2 years behind. So we're working on it. Domain 2, effective and well-supported staff. We are looking at increasing teacher attendance by at least 3% and supporting our uncertified teachers to become certified, thereby decreasing uncertified teachers by 50% by June. So we're diligently working on that measure as well. Domain 3, positive school culture. We are working on a 3% increase in student attendance and a 3% reduction in student discipline data by June of 2025. We're working on that as well. And then domain 4 is alignment of financial well-being with student achievement. And what we've really been doing with finance is implementing systems for good financial stewardship. With all the turnover that the district has faced from the pandemic and then the tragedy, we've had secretaries come and go. We've had CFOs come and go. We've had a lot of people come and go. So we're really establishing what are our procedures? How are we, what are our cash handling procedures? How do we account for things? Where does money need to go whenever you collect it? How do you receipt for it? I mean, that's where we're at. In addition to that, things like inventory management, replacement schedules, data entry and validation. We're working on all of those systems currently. And so we are doing work on writing, posting, and communicating how those things are done across the district and tracking for effectiveness to collect some baseline data. So that's where we're at for board goals. We've got a whole lot of major initiatives over the next 3 years. So stay tuned because we're real busy and excited about all the things that we're working on. And I put the dates there like about when we started working on all these things, but we've been working on safety and security, high quality instructional material, board goals and community vision and mission, finance and stewardship, college career military readiness, guidance counseling, recovery services, special education, bilingual and dual language, human resources, the integration of our new legacy elementary school and technology teams. And really it's on our school end that we are working on figuring out data and data collection and what we're collecting and how we're measuring all of those things in a succinct way across the district to look at student growth for every kiddo. So we're working on that. These are all the things that we are endeavoring to make growth in. So that's what we're working on, y'all. So our tax rate history. Wanted to share this with y'all. As you can see, our tax rate has decreased over the last few years. And we are at the point now where we are no longer collecting INS tax. That's our interest in sinking tax. All right. So we are at an effective tax rate of 69.83 cents per $100 valuation after the first $100,000 of your homestead, unless you are 65, in which you had it frozen, and I don't know what rate you're paying at that point. All right. School tax rate overview. So public school taxes are divided into two buckets. All right. The M&O tax rate, and I apologize, I don't know what happened. I think they put me on a PowerPoint, and that's what happened. So look at what's printed for you, and we'll be good. So the M&O is, we are currently collecting that 0.6983, and in INS, that's our maintenance and operation bucket. And then our interest in sinking bucket is zero. It's effectively zero because that is where we pay off all of our bond debt. And we are going to make our last bond debt payment this year, and we already have enough money to do that. So we are not collecting any INS money from taxpayers this year. And so our effective tax rate is 69.83 cents for the district. So the general operating fund and the debt service fund, which is that's M&O is general operating, and then debt service, that's the INS. And I tried to explain it for like what might be at home for you. So M&O, general operating, that's like groceries, house repairs, utilities, car fuel, routine services. Like that's your checking account basically. And then debt service, that's your INS. And that's like your home mortgage. That's if you're going to buy land in, I don't know, Lakey. If you're going to buy a major appliance, if you need to replace your AC, if you have home renovation or you're buying a new car, that's debt service. That's that INS that we are no longer collecting because we're about to pay all of that off this year. And we have the money in the account to do it. All right. Effective tax rate of surrounding districts. So I did this so that everyone can see that UCISD has the lowest tax rate of all the surrounding districts around us. So that's good news, right? By quite a bit this year. And then our monthly costs. So our average utility, and we did this from last year just so that you know, our average utility costs are about $110,000 a month. Now, this coming June for next year, utilities, electric is going up by about double. So that's going to be an issue for us. All right. Average salaries monthly are about $3 million a month to pay everybody that we have on payroll. And then average other is about $549,000 a month. And that's like athletics, fine arts, supplies, transportation, insurance, it's everything else. Can you write it down? Okay. And then the history of the basic allotment. And we will, whenever we get to, you write down any questions that you have about that, and know that at meeting 3, you're going to get to see, you're going to see all the funds, all of what that all is. Okay. You'll get to see all of that. We'll go into depth and detail. Okay. And if there are specific detailed things that you'd like to know about that, if you make notes, then I will have that for you. Okay. History of basic allotment, something that you need to know in doing this work about the state. The state has not increased funding for public schools in the basic allotment since 2019. They have given us the same dollars per student, which is $6,160 per student since 2019. Okay. And inflation has been over time about 24%. So in today's dollars, in order to buy the same things that we buy for that $6,160, we would actually need $7,602. But they have not increased what they're giving us. Okay. the budget shortfall. So here's a little news clip that I found. Despite Texas record budget surpluses, schools face deficits. 80% of our money, and that's across the state, school districts, 80% of the budget is staffing. About 15% is utilities, and about 5% are supplies, travel for students, fees, all of that stuff. Uvalde CISD is facing a budget deficit year over year the last 4 years, and of them not giving us additional funding, which quite honestly, had they increased funding, it's very likely that we probably might not be running a deficit budget, because we did get a lot of ESSER money, and we have, been able to do some things with that money. We have gotten some grant money, but we're at a point where the state is not increasing our funds per student. And whenever you account for the inflation, it starts to get difficult. The struggles and the shortfalls, there's a $60 billion in all the rainy day funds. The state has $33 billion in general revenue surplus, $27 billion in rainy day. They've cut SHARS, which SHARS is our reimbursement for special ed students who need medical services that they used to reimburse us for, all right, that they're no longer reimbursing us for. And so over the last 2 years, the district has lost about $650,000. ESSER funds, the district received about $26 million in ESSER funds over the last few years. We did a lot of facility upgrades. That was a lot. That was the fencing. It was a lot of facility work. The key passes, a lot of stuff that was very much needed, and there's a lot more that's needed. Our buildings are anywhere from 70 to 100 years old. We have maintenance in the room to be able to attest to the age of our buildings and the need across the district. Inflation, again, at 24%. Senate Bill 12 reduced school funding based on the school taxes. There was cuts that they gave homeowners, and that reduced taxing ability for public education, public school districts, about $730 million across the state. And then Vader not being passed locally. Those are just some struggles that we are facing as a district. I'm going to run through some of our departments and tell you kind of what they're doing. So in a second, I'm going to go through the org chart. You probably or might be already looking at it, but we've got, I'm going to also run through all of the positions that have been cut. People have been asking me for that. So this is going to be up on the website. Please tell your teacher friends that they can go to the website and look at it, because people have been asking for that. As I've said, we have cut so many jobs from central office and either reduced the position, moved it back to a campus, or just closed it, quite honestly. So it's there. Then I do want to introduce Dr. Josie Gutierrez, if she'll stand up. She is going to be with us. She is going to be our interim chief of strategy. She'll be with us for about 4 to 6 months. Contrary to what the Book of Faces says, she's not my replacement. I'm not leaving, y'all. Quit trying to run me off. I like my job. I'm staying. We had an opportunity to get her very briefly. It's a very good return on investment, honestly. She has been really all over the country in a lot of districts doing turnaround work. Most recently, she was the deputy in Waco and did some fabulous work there. She's done work through the Holdsworth Center and has a lot of really great experience in HR, which is a lot of where our work, there's a lot of work that we need to do through HR, and she can lead a lot of that and train and develop our HR people and set up some systems for us. So she's going to be helping us as we go through a lot of this work that we're trying to do to decrease spending. Because again, 80% of what we spend is on salaries, and we want to make sure that we get it right. We want to make sure we have the right people in the right places and we're paying the right people for the right things. So we'll have her for probably 4 to 6 months, and then she will probably not be, she will not be with us at that point. All right, employee handbook, she'll be working on that. That's done and it's up on the website and it's completed. That's a project we've been working on for a while, and she tied a bow around that and we have it up. Then the technology audit, she'll be assisting with that because there's a big major piece of it that runs through the HR department. And we've got a Moat Casey staffing review coming up in February that she'll be heading up. The TASB policy and practice audit that we have coming up in March through HR. We've got recruitment, retention planning, onboarding procedures, vacant positions, and then HR leadership capacity building. She'll be presenting to principals, assistant principals, and things like that. So that's what we're doing in HR currently. All right, so there is our Uvalde CISD org chart. We'll be putting that up on the website as well. One big question that I get asked a lot is, we're top heavy. UCISD is actually below the state average in administrative costs, or we've got a 0.8% administrative cost, and the state average is 1.2%. So we're not top heavy. Instructional costs, we spend about 55.22%, and the state average is 55.85%. So we're about right there. Okay. Central office, auxiliary departments, these are position reduction changes. This is what everybody's been asking for. When we combined Uvalde Elementary in Flores together and moved our 6th grade up to MJH, we were able to reduce a principal and an AP spot. So those 2 positions went away. We absorbed them. So that was not, those positions went away. Flores Elementary secretary and PEIMS clerk positions were reduced. Those people went into other positions in the district that were open, as did the principal and assistant principal positions. Those went into open positions in the district. The bilingual specialist position was reduced. That person went into an open position. These were not positions that were created. They were open positions that were vacated by staff that was leaving the district. Our bilingual support and migrant recruiter position was reduced. That person went into a grant-funded position, and we contracted with Region 20 for, I believe, a third of the cost. The ESSER coordinator position was reduced. The webmaster position was reduced, and that position, the work was absorbed by other people, a couple of other people in the district. The director of transportation position was reduced. Again, that work was absorbed. We named a coordinator and a supervisor and saved quite a bit of money by not naming a director. The student services secretary position was reduced. And then it goes on. I mean, I'm not going to go through every single one, but people either retired, went into other open positions, but we worked very hard to get down to a total of about 36.5 positions that were reduced, unfilled, moved to campuses, or we just didn't hire. I want to say the police chief position, we will open for that again probably in March to try and hire for June. But this year we have between interim chief Huizar and he and I have done the safety and security job, and he's led the police department. So we've done that work. But people have just absorbed the duties and the responsibilities in order to cut the budget. Maintenance and custodial have done a phenomenal job also of picking up the slack as we have, not filled positions. Many times we cannot find people to work, but they've done a great job. The state of curriculum and instruction. So they have been actually reduced. If you look at that list, about 7 of those positions are tied to C&I. And they've picked up a lot of duties and worked very hard to make sure that the campuses didn't feel it. but they've implemented high quality instructional materials and supports, including professional development for our math teams, conducted independent evaluation. That was actually we had that done, of SPED and bilingual programs, and we're currently implementing those action plans for both programs. They are working on implementing calibration walks. We do that every single month. We have Job-alike meetings for principals or principals PLC, and we are working hard to improve consistency in ratings and fidelity to our Texas Teacher Evaluation tool, and to aid in our teacher incentive allotment program and equity for all teachers. And then we're also assisting campus administration with teacher evaluations, including walkthroughs and implementing a structured guidance and counseling program across the district. And they're collecting, maintaining, and monitoring student performance data to assist in the improvement of student achievement so that teachers have what they need whenever it comes to growing kids. You got to see where they've been and to know how to get them where they're going, right? So we're working on that too. And then the College Career and Military Readiness Program restructure, they're working really hard on that too. These are slides I'm super excited to share with y'all. The state of student achievement. Our kids took interim assessments that are, you get the test, it's a bank of test questions. Everybody in the state really can get to them. The region, definitely. We can kind of measure ourselves against the region. And the good news here is that we largely performed very well against the region. And so what A means, whenever you look at the data, there's A and then there's a number. A means approaches, because whenever you take STAR, your child will get rated. Are they approaches grade level? Do they meet? That's the ME number, meets grade level, or do they master the grade level? And so those are what those numbers are. And if you look at the region against the district, or the district against the region, that'll tell you our average. And when I got here, we were 10 to 30 points off the region at any measurement at any point. So just the fact that we can put our scores next to the region and we're not 10 to 30 points away from their numbers is a big celebration. And we are super proud of our campus leadership, our teachers, and our kids for their amazing accomplishment, because to be so close to the region in these scores is a big deal. And so we pulled our principals in and talked to them about it and want them to congratulate teachers. And we're going to be going around high-fiving people because it's just it's really good. This is good data. It's a good indication. We're not letting up though. Okay. This was very intentional, right? We've pushed in trauma-informed programs and high-quality instructional materials with support. And we have been steadfast in that hopeful future for kids, right? To have that high-quality education. And we're going to keep on doing that. And so exciting times for kids. And we're going to keep doing that all spring and use the data to make sure that we shore up any areas where we have questions or concerns. Dr. Guerrero, Ms. Dalrymple, got Victor, and they're all of our CNI folks that don't see Jennifer. She supports elementary. Torres, all of CNI has worked really hard with campus administration, and they are our campus administration and teachers are the true MVPs. They've done a phenomenal job. Our littles, I didn't want to inundate y'all with data, but pretty much the data across the board looks like this, y'all. It's green. It's real green. And so we're super excited. But our littles too. Our littles have made growth and are doing great. And when you walk around the campuses and ask them what their favorite subject is, they don't say lunch or PE. They say math. And that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. For those of you that are not in public education, for the kids to tell you that math is their favorite subject is like, I almost fell over. And then whenever I asked another kid and that kid said math, I'm like, where's the kid? am I being punked? But no, all the kids were telling me math is their favorite subject. So it was really exciting. So our kids are doing well, and we're going to keep on working with them to make sure that we bring it home in May. So recovery services, one of the major reasons that I feel like we are able to have academic success is because we're pushing in a lot of recovery services, partnering with the food bank to provide 1,000 meals a month for families in Uvalde and Batesville, partnering with the Resiliency Center and communities and schools and Save the Children, name it. We have so many partnerships pushing in so many services to our kids and families. Dr. B's helped write over $20 million worth of grants. We're still waiting on some of those. We've implemented grant-funded programming for our 7th graders at MJH. And so many amazing things. I won't read them all to you because it's just so much stuff that they're doing. Our board gets a weekly update, and Recovery Services just has a laundry list of great things that they're doing for kids and families every single week. And the next thing that they're doing is implementing an adult education program. So that's the next level of support that we want to provide our community. And she's sending out a survey. So if you see the survey, send it out to people that you know, because we want to know what kind of classes our community may be interested in taking. It can be financial literacy, it could be ESL, it could be GED, it could be auto mechanics. We don't know, but there's a big list of them and they can pick which ones they want. So that's our next level of service to the community through recovery services. Partnerships, we have lots of them. And so we'll fly to that. State of UCISD PD and safety and security. UCISD was reduced 2 positions, 1 secretary and temporarily the police chief, which again, we will post. They have received a $4.6 million funding grant for October of 25 for equipment, training, and supplies. So that's going to be useful. It can also be used on campuses for things like keying and swipe badges and things like that. So gates and other things that we need for safety and security on campuses once it's been utilized for things that they need for PD. We have 8 officers and 2 safety monitors. The 2 safety monitors monitor 505 cameras across the district. And don't go thinking that you're going to roll up and check playgrounds for sidewalks, because within 2 campuses in about 7 minutes, the lights will be behind you like they were for me. I rolled down the window. I'm like, hello. She's like, sorry. I'm like, it's okay. You're doing your job. Because I got pulled over by the police for stalking the campuses, but I was just looking at sidewalks. So they are very heavily monitoring the cameras. And if you are creeping around the campuses, you will get pulled over very quickly. So you know. They do a ton to coordinate with our outside law enforcement agencies. They're being trained regularly. They assisted with the safety audit that was conducted across all district campuses and facilities, which included a team of over 50 people from our campuses and across the country of experts. We are now using a living assessment through SlideSoft Technologies. We're the first school district to use it. And our people can go and put in anything that's amiss. And we get emails. Noe does, I do. We know what's not jiving and what they need to make work orders for and come and fix relatively quickly on our campuses. And then Noe comes in and meets with the campus safety points of contact once a month. And we talk all about work orders and what's going on the campuses with safety and security. And so that's been awesome and amazing. Those conversations are great to hear. And then they also play a huge role in our district safety and security committee, which also met with us to look at the safety and security reports from every single audit from every single campus to help us prioritize what was, what we should work on first with the safety grant money that we have. So that was awesome. And then they, again, collaborate with the safety teams and the maintenance staff to make sure that we are getting done what needs to be done based on our safety audits. So, this is transportation. My title is gone, but y'all have it on yours. So the transportation department was reduced one position whenever the director retired in December. And so here's a little information about our transportation department. UC ISD school buses traveled 640,186 miles last year, which is 94 trips around the moon. Fun fact, right? We have 37 routes. And the majority of our fleet of our school buses is about 10 years old. Our fuel budget for the 24-25 school year is about $310,000. So that's transportation, right? It's a big endeavor getting all the kiddos to school. State of maintenance and custodial, they were reduced when you take maintenance and custodial together, about 11 positions. And our facilities, if you look there, are around 90, I think that's 98, 94, 85, 85, 74. I can't read that number, 61, 59. I mean, 50 years old, 40 years old. Majority of our buildings are very old. So they take a lot to keep up. Hats off, my hat is off to our custodial staff and our maintenance staff, because our buildings are beautiful. If you walk through our buildings, you cannot tell the age of them, except for that they are beautiful. The hardwood floors are beautiful. The architecture is beautiful, and they are so well maintained and so well kept. As a community, it's such a point of pride, the way that our custodial and maintenance staff keeps our buildings. They're amazing. They're beautiful. So it's a lot of work. So if you see one of our custodial staff or a maintenance staff worker, please shake their hand and say thank you. Like I do it every single time I'm on a campus. I make sure that I go and find them and say thank you and pat them on the back, because they do a phenomenal job of keeping these very old campuses in working order and looking beautiful. So maintenance closed out 186 safety and security related work orders alone in the last 3 months. Some of them were bigger than others, but there were some big projects in there. And currently, they meet with me and campus staff monthly, individually and together, to analyze opportunities for workflow efficiencies and just other things that we need, making sure that all of those safety and security related tasks on campuses are being done. It's been such a great, really working through our safety and security committee has been a great opportunity to have those meaningful discussions between maintenance and campus staff to get true safety and security work done on campuses. State of our technology department, UC ISD technology department at the beginning of last school year, so this is a year and a half ago, repurposed a position from technician to multimedia assistance or multimedia coordinator and web tech. So again, technology will have to be involved with the audit that's coming up. They assisted in the implementation of Centegix, which was a big lift for them this past year. They implemented the 505 cameras and access controls for the safety and security program. Our techs have been very busy over the last couple of years. They also are in charge of the one-to-one iPads, which are 3 years old, and we're probably going to have to be talking about in this committee, we're going to have to make some decisions about that. Do we continue with iPads? Do we shift to Chromebooks? Do we possibly go to classroom sets at some levels? This replacement, whatever we decide to do, will be costly for the district. And some planning discussions have sort of started. So we're going to be bringing some information. But we're going to have to start thinking about, do we push down the current iPads to younger kids? Do we buy new iPads? Do we buy Chromebooks? Like, what do we do? Upgrading, they've upgraded the Network Operations Center, core and distribution centers for all campuses, which was work. And then they worked on our EOP cybersecurity annex, which was completed in December. So they have been extremely busy keeping us cyber safe and connected. Fine arts. All right. So fine arts have reduced 2 positions this year due to participation rates. We've got about 226 or 20% of student performers at the high school. UCISD struggles to recruit fine arts teachers out here. I'm just going to tell you, we've had positions open this past summer and just struggled to recruit, fine arts teachers. So we're gonna start early this year, and we're gonna be working on getting positions filled. Programs have lost participation over the last few years, but that's, after the pandemic, we did have a lot of issues with kids coming back to programs. All band equipment is in dire need of replacement. And our band uniforms are how many years old? 3, 4, 5. They're 5 years old. They're in need of replacement as well. So our band is in need of, we need uniforms, we need equipment. The band instruments are literally being held together with shoelaces and fishing string. Our mariachi group was featured in a national publication, in addition to being invited to New Mexico to go to a very fabulous performance conference where they were teaching other kids about mariachi. It was amazing. We've had 4 area qualifiers in the last year and a half and 1 state qualifier. So they are doing great in spite of the fact that they need equipment and uniforms. The state of our athletic department, we've got 477 student athletes at the high school, or 42% of our kiddos that participate. And in 13 sporting events, we've had 5 state qualifiers and 42 all-state academic qualifiers, which is pretty exciting. Our track and our tennis courts need to be resurfaced, and that's going to be about a $2.6 million endeavor. So that's going to be pretty costly. Our entire local athletic budget for 24-25 was $1.35 million, and the state does not send us money for that. That we fund completely locally. We also have amazing boosters that help us with fundraising and do things like that. So it's our athletic department. Now it's your turn. So based on what we talked about, you can talk with your table group about what you heard, what you saw. You have people in district. I'm going to give you 20 minutes to talk about it. If you have questions, y'all need to land on about one question. I'm going to do my best to answer them. And if I can't answer the question, I'm going to take it down and I'm going to come up with a good response and I'll send it out to the group and I'll put it on the website and email everybody to let you know that I'll email you the response and then I will also put it on the website. Okay? So y'all have to come up with one question per table group from everything that you learned tonight and everything that's in your hands.